A nation forsaken, the plight of Salvadoran women. El Salvador, a small nation grappling with immense challenges. Nestled in Central America, it is a land of striking contrasts. From its lush landscapes and vibrant culture to the stark realities of poverty and violence that many of its citizens face daily, poverty casts a long shadow over the lives of many Salvadorans. The streets, once filled with the laughter of children, now echo with the sounds of violence and despair. Gangs and crime have taken root, making everyday life a perilous journey for the average citizen. But there's a silent crisis, a hidden suffering endured by half its population. Women, who are the backbone of this society, face an unspoken torment that goes beyond the visible struggles of poverty and violence. Women in El Salvador face a stark reality, their bodies held hostage by a law that denies them autonomy and jeopardizes their lives. This law, which criminalizes abortion under any circumstances, has turned their existence into a daily battle for survival. This is the story of their struggle, their fight for dignity, and the urgent need for change. Women from all walks of life have come together, raising their voices in unison, demanding the right to make decisions about their own bodies. For over 2 decades, a total abortion ban has held sway, transforming motherhood from a blessing into a potential death sentence. The fear of complications, the dread of an unwanted pregnancy, and the anxiety of legal repercussions weigh heavily on their minds. The law, enacted in 1998, offers no exceptions. Not for rape, not for incest. It is a blanket ban that disregards the complexities and nuances of individual circumstances, leaving no room for compassion or understanding, not even when the pregnancy poses a grave threat to the mother's life or the fetus has no chance of survival. The medical community is often left helpless, bound by the law, unable to provide the necessary care to save lives or alleviate suffering. The consequences of this draconian law are devastating, leaving countless women trapped in a nightmare of forced pregnancies, their health and well-being sacrificed on the altar of ideology. The emotional and physical toll is immeasurable, with many women suffering in silence, afraid to seek help. The world must hear their stories, understand their pain, and join the fight for their right to choose. It is a call to action for global solidarity, to stand with Salvadoran women in their quest for justice and autonomy. Only through collective effort can we hope to bring about meaningful change and ensure that every woman has the right to make decisions about her own body. The year 1998 marked a turning point in El Salvador's history, but not for the better. It was the year a blanket ban on abortion was etched into law, a move that would have far-reaching consequences for generations of women. Overnight, abortion, a fundamental aspect of reproductive health care, became a crime, punishable with a prison sentence. This law, passed under the guise of protecting life, has ironically led to the suffering and even death of countless women. The ban has created a climate of fear and silence, driving women into the shadows to seek unsafe abortions, often at the hands of untrained practitioners. The risks are immense: infection, hemorrhage, infertility, and even death. The most vulnerable women, those living in poverty and with limited access to health care, bear the brunt of this cruel law. The 1998 ban was not just about controlling women's bodies. It was about controlling their lives, their futures, and their very right to exist as full and equal citizens. Imagine being forced to play a lottery where the stakes are your life. The very thought sends shivers down the spine, doesn't it? Yet for many women, this is not a hypothetical scenario, but a harsh reality they face every day, and the odds are stacked against you. The fear, the anxiety, the uncertainty, these emotions become a constant companion, overshadowing what should be a joyous period of life. This is the grim reality for pregnant women in El Salvador, thanks to the total abortion ban. The law is unyielding, offering no exceptions, not even in cases of rape, incest, or severe fetal abnormalities. Every pregnancy becomes a gamble, a roll of the dice where losing could mean serious health complications or even death. The stakes are unimaginably high, and the consequences are often dire. A study conducted by Harvard sociologist Jocelyn Viterna, published in the Harvard Gazette in January 2023, revealed the harrowing truth about the impact of the ban on women's health. The research delved deep into the lives of these women, uncovering stories that are both heartbreaking and infuriating. The study found that a staggering 54.9% of women forced to carry non-viable pregnancies experience serious complications. These complications ranged from severe infections to life-threatening hemorrhages, conditions that could have been avoided with timely medical intervention. Nearly half of these women, 47.9%, had to undergo invasive procedures, often without adequate pain management or psychological support. The lack of proper medical care exacerbates their suffering, turning an already traumatic experience into a nightmare. The physical and emotional toll of these experiences is immeasurable, leaving many women with lasting trauma. The scars, both visible and invisible, serve as a constant reminder of their ordeal. The ban has created a perverse situation where doctors are often legally bound to prioritize the life of a non-viable fetus over the life of the mother, even when the woman's life is in imminent danger. This legal and ethical dilemma puts healthcare providers in an impossible position, forcing them to choose between their professional oath and the law. The emotional burden on these women is compounded by the societal stigma they face. In a culture where motherhood is often idealized, the inability to carry a pregnancy to term is seen as a personal failure, adding another layer of psychological distress. Activists and human rights organizations are tirelessly working to bring attention to this issue, advocating for the rights of women to make decisions about their own bodies. The fight is far from over, but the voices calling for change are growing louder. There is hope on the horizon. With continued advocacy and awareness, there is a possibility for change. The resilience and strength of these women, coupled with the support of global communities, can pave the way for a future where no woman has to endure the health risks of forced pregnancy. Beatrice's story is a poignant testament to the cruelty of El Salvador's abortion ban. Her journey is one of immense pain, resilience, and a fight against an oppressive system that prioritizes rigid laws over human compassion and medical necessity. In 2013, Beatrice, already a mother and suffering from lupus and other health complications, received devastating news. Her pregnancy was not viable. The diagnosis was a crushing blow, not just because of the medical implications, but because of the legal and social ramifications she would face in her country. The fetus had anencephaly, a fatal condition where the brain fails to develop properly. This meant that the fetus had no chance of survival outside the womb. For Beatrice, continuing the pregnancy posed severe risks to her own health, exacerbating her lupus and other conditions. Despite the risks to her own life and the certainty that the fetus would not survive, Beatrice was denied an abortion. The Salvadoran law, one of the strictest in the world, prohibits abortion under any circumstances, even when the mother's life is at risk or the fetus is non-viable. She was forced to endure the physical and emotional agony of carrying a dying fetus to term, her pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. The psychological torment of knowing that her child would not survive, coupled with the physical pain of her condition, made her ordeal almost unbearable. Beatrice's case became a rallying cry for human rights activists worldwide, shining a spotlight on the injustice faced by Salvadoran women. Her story resonated with many, highlighting the dire need for legal reforms and the protection of women's rights in El Salvador and beyond. Though Beatrice tragically passed away in 2017, her fight for justice continued. Her death was a stark reminder of the human cost of draconian laws and the urgent need for change. Her legacy lives on through the continued efforts of activists and organizations fighting for reproductive rights. Her case was brought before the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, which, in a landmark ruling in December 2024, condemned El Salvador for violating her rights. This ruling was a significant victory, acknowledging the state's failure to protect Beatrice and setting a precedent for future cases. The court's verdict offered a glimmer of hope for change, but the fight is far from over. The ruling has inspired renewed efforts to challenge and change the oppressive laws in El Salvador. Activists continue to push for comprehensive reforms that prioritize women's health and rights, ensuring that no woman has to endure what Beatrice did. Her story is a powerful reminder of the importance of compassion, justice, and the ongoing struggle for human rights.